want to give you an update on what's going on with the trees. In the beginning, the ground was really hard. It was almost like concrete. I couldn't dig through it. It was really tough. I wanted to save on my back, so I had to come up with a different way to plant the trees. So I thought of getting a container. I cut the bottom off of the container. I filled the container with just regular dirt and compost. I made a special mix, and I planted the tree in it. I covered it with mulch and compost that I had made from myself, and then I put the rocks on top, and I let it go. The first summer I would water it twice a week. I would basically let the water fill up the bucket here, and because of the type of ground that was on the bottom, it took a really long time for the water to saturate into the ground. But you know, it saturated at the end of the day. These rocks are here. They heat up during the day, and then at nighttime they cool down, and it creates condensation, and it gives the tree a little bit to drink. And this pipe, when I first planted the trees, because the ground was so hard, I wanted to make sure that there was a way to get water directly to the roots. So I would water with the pipe to make sure. And also another thing is, because the ground was so thick, it was so heavy, I was able to make sure that there was airflow in here as well. I'm distracted because the chicken found like a little snake or something, and it's running away, and other chickens are chasing it. It's so much fun to watch them when they catch something. Yeah, it's a little snake. It caught a little snake. Wow. That means if there are little snakes for it to catch, that means that there are more running around. But I'm not worried, because snakes have a purpose too. Anyway, so now the purpose of this, I keep it in here, even though I don't water with it anymore, because the ground is no longer hard. And when I water, the water just totally saturates down. I don't have to wait for the water to drain anymore. I water and it just totally saturates the whole area. So this is like the stones, it condensates. And the nice thing about this is that because it condensates on the outside and also on the inside, there is water that gets down more directly to the roots. And then so just recently I put this wine bottle up here. The wine bottle, it heats up, and even around now, just before dark, the wine bottle starts to cool down, and I see little water balls forming inside. And then as it cools down, whatever forms on the bottle, what's on the outside, goes down the tube up to the surface, and whatever's on the inside goes to the inside of the tube, going directly to the roots. And as you can see, the leaves are green. The tree's doing beautifully. I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy. Another thing that I have is I mulched the sides of this container with the bedding from the rabbits, which means that it's got the rabbit pellets, it's got the rabbit urine, and it's got the natural grasses and leaves, whatever the rabbits didn't eat. So it's a really nice mulch that I put around the sides of all of these bins, around all the trees. And so that gives it just a little bit extra protection from the sun, and it's good for the ground. Now, I water these trees, all of the trees, actually all the plants here, receive about 4 liters of water a week. So twice a week I will give them around 2 liters each of water, and then every 2 weeks I will do a really large soak with a garden hose, so that everything gets totally saturated once every 2 weeks, and then it's just topped up with the 2 liters every like 3.5 days. And so far everything's happy. We're in the end of July, and I'm rather pleased with everything. I'm really happy. Okay, so you can see the mulch, the long grassy mulches. It's the natural straw from the grasses that are on the other side of the fence. That's what I gave for the rabbit bedding. And as you can see, all of this is just mulched, mixed in with the rabbit waste. So it's got all the goodness from the rabbits. And so all of the trees have this, all of them. And then since all the trees have this, and then the rabbits sometimes leave bark or other things, so I just take whatever is left over from putting around the trees and I just fill up this area so that the entire garden area is mulched. And that's really good because it not only is a ground cover, but it has all the good natural microorganisms in it, and it's creating humus, and overall it's just really good for the ground. It's going to make a huge difference after this coming winter. So let's come over here and I'll show you the other trees so that you can see that it's the exact same thing here. Again, you'll see all the mulch. Here's a lot of mulch, just mulched around everything. You see all the trees. And the idea is to just build up as much soil, as much organic soil as possible. Now, in the winter time, here the chickens, they go through. I know there's doing something good here because the chickens go through and they get goodies. So I'm always having to kick in the mulch again, remulch it. But this is good. Kind of sounds good, the crunch crunch. The crunch crunch is really good. And so this is how I am making more soil. Now, those beer bottles are actually filled with water. It heats up during the day, and again, it condensates at night. And it helps to provide a little bit more moisture for the rosemary. And the rosemary is fine. It's highly drought tolerant. But I noticed that it wasn't perky, which is why I decided to just go ahead and put the water bottles down there. Funny enough, I have rocks, but either they're way too big or I had the extra bottles. So I said, you know what? Instead of rocks, I'll just put the bottles down. I'll make them useful. And since I put the bottles down, the rosemary has actually perked up. So it was a good idea to do so. So there you have it. And this is how I have the healthy trees. You can see the leaves are all nice and green. The trees are taller than they were before, much taller. They've grown. And over here you can see also, look at how green this is, how it's just really healthy. They're really happy. And even though they're still small, they're much, much taller than they were. And they're a little bit more filled out than they were last year when I first planted them. And that's saying a lot because I planted them here in the middle of summer. I had no water. The soil was not good for them. And they survived the summer. They survived the cold of the winter, the winds. And look, it's the middle of summer and I'm really happy. I'm really, really happy. So, until next time.